All right, let's talk about one of those game-changing books, Atomic Habits by James Clear. We're going to break down the biggest ideas into a really simple, actionable system. And I promise by the end of this, you'll have a toolkit you can actually use to build good habits and, yeah, finally break those bad ones, one tiny little step at a time. So the whole journey of this book, it actually starts with a really shocking moment. When he was just a high schooler, a baseball bat accidentally flew through the air and hit James Clear's square in the face. I mean, the injury was horrific. We're talking a broken nose, multiple skull fractures, shattered eye sockets. He was even put into a medically induced coma. His recovery was, as you can imagine, incredibly long and difficult. It forced him to start his entire life over from scratch, relying on these super small, manageable habits to just slowly rebuild. And it was that painful experience that really taught him the incredible power of tiny, consistent improvements. And that experience leads us right into the single biggest idea in the entire book, the surprising, almost magical power of getting just a tiny, tiny bit better every single day. So let me just ask you a question. What if you got just 1% better at something every day for a year? I mean, it doesn't sound like much, does it? 1% is so small you'd barely even notice it. But the results of that tiny effort, when they compound over time, are absolutely staggering. And this is where the math just gets kind of mind-blowing. If you improve by just 1% each day, by the end of the year, you're not 365% better. You'll be nearly 37 times better. That's the power of compounding. You see, your small daily choices, they don't just add up, they multiply. And that one insight, that is the key to everything.
Clear has this perfect analogy for it. He says habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just like money multiplies with compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply every time you repeat them. Good habits make time your friend. Bad habits make it your enemy. The key thing to get here is that your results are always a lagging measure of your habits.
Okay, so if compounding is the what, the next big idea is the how. And this requires a huge mental shift for most of us, because it means we have to stop focusing on goals. Instead, the book argues, we have to focus on our systems. Just think about it for a second. Winners and losers in pretty much any area of life, they often have the exact same goals, right? Every single Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every person applying for a job wants to get it. The goal isn't what separates them. The real difference is their system, that collection of daily habits that gets them to the finish line. Goals are about the result you want. Systems are about the process that leads to those results. And this is probably one of the most powerful lines in the entire book. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if your system is broken, your progress will be too. True long-term thinking is actually goal-less thinking. It's about committing to the process, not just dreaming about the outcome. So, how do we actually build a winning system? Well, first, we have to understand the basic mechanics of what a habit even is. And Clear breaks it down into a super simple 4-step model that our brains are running through constantly. This right here, this is the habit loop, and it's running in the background of your life every single second of every day. It's a nonstop feedback cycle: cue, craving, response, and reward. This simple little loop is the backbone of every single habit you have, whether it's good or bad. Let's make it super real. The cue is the trigger, say your phone buzzes. The craving is the motivation, you want to know who messaged you. The response is the actual habit, you pick up the phone and look at it. And the reward is that little bit of satisfaction, your curiosity is satisfied. And that reward is what tells your brain, hey, let's do that again next time. And boom, that's how a habit gets wired in. Okay, now for the really fun part. Once you understand that loop, you can start to engineer it. Clear gives us 4 simple laws to build better habits, and each one lines up perfectly with one step in that loop. So let's start with the first law, which targets the cue. The first law is make it obvious. Most of us are really vague about what we want to do. We say, I'm going to work out more, but your brain doesn't know what to do with that. This simple formula, the implementation intention, makes it real. You're giving your new habit a specific time and a specific place to live in your world. So the trick here is to design your environment. Make the cues for your good habits totally impossible to miss. You want to go for a run in the morning? Put your shoes right by the door so you practically trip over them. Or try this trick called habit stacking. Just link your new habit to one you already do. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. All right, let's move on to the second law.
This one is all about hacking the craving part of the loop. The second law is make it attractive. It's simple, right? The more appealing a habit is, the more likely we are to actually do it. And a fantastic strategy for this is something called temptation bundling. You just pair an action you need to do with an action you want to do. So maybe you love listening to a certain podcast. Great. Only allow yourself to listen to it while you're on the treadmill. It completely transforms the experience from a chore into a treat. Okay, now we get to the part of the loop where most of us fail, the response, the actual doing of the thing. So, the third law is make it easy. I think the biggest mistake we all make is trying to do way too much, way too soon. The 2-minute rule is the perfect antidote for that. Your goal is just to make your habit so easy to start that you can't possibly say no. You're not trying to run a marathon yet, you're just trying to master the art of showing up. And look, the idea isn't to only read one page forever. The idea is to make starting completely effortless. I mean, anyone can read one page. Anyone can take out their yoga mat. And once you've started, it's so much easier to just keep going. You're building that momentum and making the habit a real part of your routine. And finally, we get to the end of the loop, the reward. This is the piece that tells your brain whether a habit is worth repeating in the future. The fourth law is make it satisfying. Our brains are hardwired for immediate gratification, so you have to find a way to give yourself a little win right after you do your habit. A fantastic way to do this is with a habit tracker. Just physically crossing off a day on a calendar feels really good. It builds this visual chain that you won't want to break. And just remember the most important rule of all, life is going to happen. You might miss a day. Just never miss twice.
Okay, we've covered a whole lot of ground. So let's pull all of this together into a super simple, actionable plan you can start using, well, today. So here's the plan. Start with a 2-minute habit and stack it on top of a routine you already have. Design your environment to make your cues obvious and unavoidable. Track your progress to make it satisfying. And never, ever miss twice. But most importantly, focus on your system, not your goal. And remember this, every small action you take is like a vote for the person you want to become.
Let's just end with the absolute core truth of this entire book. Success isn't about some heroic, one-time transformation. It's the product of our daily habits. It's about building a system of 1% improvements that compound over time into really remarkable results. So my question for you is, what is one tiny 2-minute habit you can start today? Just pick one, make it obvious, and start casting a vote for the person you want to be.